Story 1. This happened when I was 15. My best friend, Anthony, invited me over for the weekend. His parents were going to be out of town. I biked to his place, locked up in the backyard, and let myself in through the back door. We spent most of the day binging video games, everything from FIFA to Call of Duty. Junk food and popcorn were scattered all over the floor. Later that night, after getting bored halfway through a movie, we started making prank calls around 10 p.m. Anthony called a few pizza places. Then it was my turn. I dialed some random numbers, hoping to catch someone at home. After a few tries, someone finally answered. It was a man with a deep, raspy voice. He didn't say hello, just said yeah. Anthony started laughing in the background, and I couldn't keep a straight face. I stuttered through my sentence and started cracking up. The guy on the other end said nothing. I composed myself and tried to keep going. I said something like, sir, would it be all right if I borrowed one of the wheels from your car? He paused, then asked, what's your name, kid? I blurted out Bob. There was a longer pause. Then he said, really? You sure it's not Anthony? It hit me hard. I looked at Anthony, whose face turned pale. I hung up immediately. Dude, who the hell was that? I asked him. I don't know, he stammered. I asked if caller ID could have shown his name, and he said it only showed his dad's. We jumped on his computer to research how someone could figure out a name from a random number. It didn't add up. Anthony was way too young to be on any public directory sites. We posted the question on Yahoo Answers. No one had an answer. I suggested he call his dad, but Anthony said he wasn't even supposed to have anyone over. We ended up back on the couch, finishing the movie. That's when we heard it. The storm door creaked open, and the front door handle turned. It didn't open. It was locked. Anthony shut off the TV. I peeked through the blinds. There was a tall man standing outside. He saw me through the blinds. I dropped them instantly. We ran to hide in the kitchen. Then we heard it. The gate to the backyard opened. Oh, crap, I whispered. I forgot to close the back door. Anthony told me to shut it quick. I started toward the hallway, but froze. There was a silhouette at the back door, just standing there, peering inside. He opened the door and stepped in. I tiptoed back to the kitchen and motioned for Anthony to follow me upstairs. We slipped into his bedroom and crawled under the bed. Lucky for us, the bed had a fabric cover around the bottom. You couldn't see under it unless you lifted it. We heard doors opening downstairs, then footsteps on the stairs. Closer. Then, his door opened. Anthony was breathing too loud. I had to cover his mouth. Silence. Then, footsteps to the closet. The hangers slid across the rod. Then, more footsteps, right next to the bed. My heart was pounding out of my chest. I whispered to Anthony, do you think we can make a run for it? He started to answer, and then the most blood-curdling scream I've ever heard pierced the room. He was being pulled out from under the bed. I scrambled out and saw him struggling with the man. Desperately, I grabbed the screwdriver from Anthony's nightstand and plunged it into the guy's back. He screamed, letting go of Anthony. We ran. Not toward the road, that was too open. We bolted into the woods behind the house and ducked behind a bush. The back door opened. The man stepped outside, looking around. Then, he looked directly into the woods. He scanned left, then right. Then he paused, looking toward us. I ducked. Joe, he's coming. What? Dude, run. He was right. The man was sprinting toward us. We tore through the woods. Leaves crackled under our feet. Anthony tripped, and I dropped beside him. Footsteps. Fast. Approaching. Then, they stopped. Just a few feet away. After a moment, The steps took off in another direction. We waited, then sprinted back to the house and locked the back door tight. Anthony called the police while I stood guard at the windows. It was pitch black. I flipped on the backyard lights. That's when I saw him, standing by a tree. He turned and vanished into the woods. That was the last time we saw him. No mysterious knocks, no strange dreams, just silence. But I'll always wonder, was it because of that prank call? My wife and I have had our fair share of arguments, but one night she snapped over something ridiculous. I forgot to put the toilet seat down. She started yelling. I couldn't take it anymore. I called my buddy Paul, and he told me to crash at his place for the night. Paul lives in a huge house. My wife's always nagging me about how my friends have nicer homes than we do. When I got there, we cracked open a few beers and talked. He offered to let me stay as long as I wanted. I told him I'd only be there one night. Paul has 3 guest bedrooms, all lined up side by side. His own room is across the hall. I stayed in the first guest room. As I was trying to fall asleep, I started hearing strange noises coming from the room next door. At first I thought it was just Paul, but it got annoying. I checked his room. He was already in bed. I asked if he'd heard anything. He said no. I asked why the door was locked. He told me he keeps personal stuff in those rooms and always keeps them locked. I warned him about the noise. He told me to just get some rest, and if it happened again, to come back. So I did. Back in my room, it was silent again. 30 minutes passed. I was almost asleep when I heard a tap on the wall. Then, a voice. Quiet, but real. I ran to Paul's room again. This time, he didn't brush me off. He grabbed the keys and unlocked the room next door. We walked in, and a breeze hit us. The window was wide open. The closet, too. The bed looked like someone had been lying on it. The drawers were empty. Paul looked around in panic. Then he bolted to the hallway. He unlocked the other guest room. A black figure jumped out the window onto the patio roof. Paul started to chase him, but we ran downstairs instead to try and catch him from outside. He was gone. But inside that room, the bed was stained with blood. A butcher knife, Paul's missing butcher knife, was sitting in the closet. And everything valuable, gone. Turns out, homeless squatters had been living in his home for a week, maybe longer. Paul even mentioned earlier how fast his food seemed to vanish, but he never thought twice about it. To this day, they were never caught. Story 3. I remember this like it was yesterday. It was my first sleepover. I was 10 years old, staying at my friend Jordan's house. He had a huge basement where we stayed up late playing games. Around 1 a.m., we turned off the console and crashed on the couches. We didn't even brush our teeth, just knocked out like rebels. I woke up sometime during the night. The TV was still on, casting a faint glow across the room. In the far corner, near the stairs, I saw something, a tall shape. It almost reached the ceiling. I couldn't tell what it was. It didn't move, but it felt wrong. Then the TV shut off. Total darkness. I shut my eyes and stayed frozen. I don't even remember falling back asleep. What I do remember was the screaming. From upstairs, Jordan's mom. We both woke up and bolted upstairs. His mom was crying in the bedroom. His dad was tearing the room apart, yelling about something she saw. He ran past us, checking every room, every door, but there was no one there. No broken windows, no open doors. The next day, I asked Jordan about it. Years later, I brought it up again. He said his mum doesn't like talking about it, but once, she admitted she saw a tall, dark figure standing at their bedroom door. I'm certain, absolutely certain, that's what I saw too. in that basement, that night.